Everybody get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we're going to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. I'll sing that again. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody, everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody, you meet. Let us be reminded of who we're going to be. We are one, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Let us make a joyful sound. Stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody, everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody, let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Let us make a joyful sound. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody, you hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tucson. I am Morgana. I am your host this morning. Let's take a moment, get grounded in our space, come back into our bodies, be aware of spirit moving in and through us. Take a few deep breaths. In, hold, release. Let go of anything outside this space. We are all a unique expression of the divine source. The one life, that life is God's life, that life is our life now. If you are setting an intention to experience a happier life, better health, more abundant living, know that you are in the right place. Know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. You are safe among friends. Welcome, everyone. Know that before service, every Sunday, we have a 20-minute meditation at 9:30 in the annex, in one of the rooms over there. I hope you all have a copy of your bulletin this morning. There aren't many events coming up, but please do put in your calendars. The Intention Keepers is this afternoon via Zoom. Lunch Bunch is meeting next June 7th, and June 21st is the LGBTQ plus Friends. So please join us there. Okay, and so now, March 31st. Our vote. Yes, this March 31st, the announcements went out via email. And we're reminding you again in person. It will be after service. Members will be voting on the status, but everybody's going to participate in the vote so that we have a feeling of the entire congregation's desires and to help the board make that decision. so that we can report to home office what our status is. And we'll decide that the 31st. So please be here. Bring your friends. Bring some of the folks that we normally see on a Sunday. Maybe rouse them and remind them to be here. It's very important. Okay, so now we'll go on with reading our vision statement from the front of the brochure. The Center for Spiritual Living Tucson is an inclusive, vibrant, spiritual community focusing on personal connection through our beliefs, principles, and the practices of the science of mind.
So you're looking for some answers, like you're gonna solve a mystery. So you're trying to find a better way to live your life and to set your soul at ease. Well, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Yeah, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. So you're looking for some answers, like you're gonna solve life's grand mystery. But you're trying to find the better way to live your life and to set your soul at ease. Welcome to the club. 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 Welcome to the club.
We will now have a 3-minute meditation to the bell. Please have a prayer with me. Mother, Father, God, I have no doubt today that you are here. In this invocation prayer, I know that you are here guiding us, living us, breathing us, having your fun with us, through us. So on this beautiful Sunday, I invoke the law of goodness, peace, of learning new ideas, of incorporating community, of being grateful for being together. Grateful for the music, grateful for Sharon, grateful for everyone, Bruce, who helps put this on. We are here to serve you, Lord. We are here to serve you, knowing that each and every one of us is a piece of you, so we are here to serve each and every person. We're just grateful for this life. We have no doubts that you are here with us and all is well. Release this into the action of the law and we say, and so it is.
And so it is. So, the spiritual thought today, I will read it and we'll have the, okay, spiritual thought. And remember that this month we're talking about doubt. That's the theme. We have all been to dark places, the shadowland just next door to what we call reality. There, clarity is lost and doubt dwells. There, we are uncertain about tomorrow, what tomorrow will bring, if tomorrow can come at all. The dark places can appear slowly or suddenly, but either way, they cover us in a fog of doubt, leaving us feeling alone. It is at this moment that faith becomes our compass, for it reminds us that darkness is only a detour, never a destination. These small corners are not the true landscape of our lives. They cannot contain the power of love. Then the Spirit calls for us until we find our way out of the dead end of worry and back to the broad and bright streets of hope. We see the darkness all around us, but you are stronger than darkness. We are stronger than darkness. That is the vision of the kiva. That is the ladder to the light. And that was given to us in a book called Ladder to the Light by Charleston. And the affirmation, I'll read it and then we'll say it together. I trust that even in uncertainty, I am guided forward. Together.
I trust that even in uncertainty, I am guided forward. I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I choose goodness surrounding me. I choose love in every breath I breathe. I choose God in everything. I choose happiness, I choose freedom. I choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know the goodness surrounding me. I know love in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God in everything. I know God in everything. I choose God in everything. I feel God in everything. I see God in everything.
And I realized when Bruce and I were setting up, I am wearing the colors of the room today. Are you going to just magically appear out of the wall? um, so good morning. So yeah, we've been talking about doubt, and as I mentioned last week, I've been wrestling with this, but this week I'm excited. We're bringing doubt together. Our title this week is Carrying Our Doubt Together. And we've moved from looking at our interior doubt, being okay with that, sitting in the unknown, being okay with not knowing. And that uncertainty leads to creativity and a new idea about something. And then as we sat with our doubts as individuals, last week we started sharing those doubts. We started coming out of the closet with our doubts. We faced our fears about being accepted if maybe we don't know all the answers. We looked at becoming vulnerable in our authenticity. And in sharing our doubts, we open ourselves to that greater possibility, which brings us to today, carrying our doubts together, the doubt within our community. And our question of the week is, what power and possibility lie in our collective doubts? And we have a lot of questions, right, within CSL. The ongoing question is, what's happening with the wall? When are we going to get to move in? Right? We have a question on the table. Are we changing to a teaching chapter in our affiliation with home office? So that we can continue to function as we are, rather than looking to find a budget and hiring a minister. And then there is that question of budget. How do we keep moving forward? How are we making space for something new? And the last question for me is, as a community, what is our work in the world? And let me make sure things are not, there we go, page 2. So our work in the world, how do we show up as a community and presence in the world? And we know that our world is currently a little scary for some. Some might just call it shaky, some uncertain. We have political unrest and increased division. We have breakdowns of our norms and values. Our democracy, access to free and fair elections, is on the table. Social injustice, the immigration policies, Black and people of color, LGBTQ plus communities are all being targeted. And then we have to ask ourselves, is this the world that we want to see? Are these painful patterns before us inevitable? Or is transformation possible? So these questions as a community invite deeper discernment, courage, and action, both individually and together.
And one of the areas that's been under attack under our current administration is the idea of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you may or may not be aware, but CSL has a committee that focuses on our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And they've expanded that to some other words that I will get to later. But they regularly will produce online events on Zoom that I will start making sure that people are available to. Every November, I believe, is Trans Memorial, where people that are trans, identify as trans, and that have been victims of abuse or have died. We have had memorials for at least since I've been in Bakersfield, I'm aware of that. They have looked at LGBTQ issues. They have looked at how Black people are treated in the country. They have looked at ageism. So they have come together over lots of different topics and just how do we presence ourselves in the world. And I see diversity, that multiple opinions and ideas, right? And that increases our perspective. Each of you has a unique perspective. Nobody has lived your experience. And then there's that equity that everybody has access to what they need. That doesn't mean that everybody gets the same portion of something, equality. It means that everybody gets what they need. Inclusion, making sure that everyone has a seat at the table, that we're presencing. And then taking it that step further, that belonging, that knowing that while we have a seat at the table, we're also valued and that we belong there. And that brings us to wholeness and oneness. So my personal doubt often shows up is how do I best ally with those people that I want to help? That's one of my growing edges. Because as I said, I don't have a firsthand experience of what you have experienced. So I don't really know exactly what you've gone through and where I can best show up for you. While I was in Reno, one of the things that the DEI committee had was this little packet. And you were invited to participate in the Journey of Belonging, a pop-up workshop. And so I thought we would do that today. So the flyer that comes along with it has kind of three parts. We have contemplation, which is our inward journey. We have belonging, where everyone is welcome as they are. And then exploration and the curiosity journey. And it's very, we're not going to go through this whole little picture, but this is kind of the basis of the game. And in your handout, and you'll need a pen, in your handout, they have the wheel of, they call it the wheel of power. I like to call it the wheel of privilege. I think it's a little more neutral. And privilege is in the center. And for those watching online now or later, anybody need a pen? Sharon, I brought some. Too. And you don't have to play. See, and that is part of the equity piece, is you have choice, right? So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But for those watching later online, I'm going to go through and I'm going to start with gender. And how this works is in the center is where the privilege is. On the outside rim is where marginalization is. And there's only three, it's not getting really deep and complex. So you'll go around the wheel and we'll take each wheel separately and you'll just mark where you land on the wheel. And so with gender, in the most privilege in the middle is cisgender men, cisgender women, and on the edge is trans, intersex, and non-binary people. So how you identify there. And you'll give yourself, there's a point system to this too. In the center is 3 points. In the middle is 2 points. On the outside edge is 1 point. The next is citizenship. Are you a born citizen? Are you documented or undocumented? and really documented, I guess, citizen that documented. You can read that yourself if you're, naturalized, because I'm not sure if naturalized where that falls. Is that a citizen or are you documented? That's up to you. Our skin color, white, different shades, or dark. Education, post-secondary, high school, elementary. It's 3, 2, 1. Ability, able-bodied, some disability, and a significant disability. And while I marked myself a 3 on that, I've had glasses since 2nd grade and was teased with that. Part of me is like, I have a slight disability. So it's up to you how you want to rate yourself. Sexuality, heterosexual, gay men, and then lesbian, bi, and let's see, they have
And
pan. Okay, I can't read that. Pansexual or asexual. So if you are any of those other spectrums. And I found that interesting that gay men tend to have more privilege than other identifiers. Neurodiversity. Are we neurotypical, neuroatypical, or a significant neurodiversity? That would be like if you're on the spectrum, if you have some sort of mental disability, if you're autistic on a spectrum. I had an ex-boyfriend that both sons were on the spectrum, one very mildly, the other one more severely. And so it's an autistic measurement. Okay, there we are. Mental health. Is your mental health robust, mostly stable, or vulnerable? Body size. Slim, do you consider yourself slim? Do you consider yourself average? Do you consider yourself large? I found it interesting that average, that slim actually gets more privilege. And it's that cultural identifier that, we have to be slim and pretty. And, for men, it's like that right look, but when I see that word slim and as a female, it's like I really identify, like, am I model thin or am I average? Housing. Do you own property? That's 3. 2, you're sheltered or you're renting. And a 1 is homelessness. Wealth. Do you consider yourself rich, middle class, or poor? And finally, we end with language. English is your first and primary language. You're fluent, but you learned English as a second language. Or non-English, you're monolingual in your first language, which is not English. And then the next step of this is to total your numbers. So how many 3s times 3? How many 2s times 2? How many 1s? And notice your score. And the most you can get is if you identified as in that inner ring on all counts, you have 36. And if you're on the outer ring, you have 12. So there's 12 spokes to the wheel. And most people don't fall in 100% marginalized, and especially in this room, right? And just notice what you notice. For me, my total was 31, and I had like a couple that I scored and a half. I felt like I was between. So I did a couple and a halves, but I totaled at 31, and I noticed I wanted my score to be lower. I was like, I want to be more marginalized. And that was me, and that's one of my growth things, which is a whole nother story. But it also feeds into that doubt that I have about how do I ally with those people that I see in my world. that need me to show up, that need us to show up in the world. So this was kind of for your information only. And yes, let's go ahead and turn to somebody you don't normally, that's near you. You don't have to get up. So, and just share what you noticed. Just take a couple minutes. And if you're watching this later online, just go ahead and journal what you noticed. Would anybody like to share a comment? Because I've been kind of listening to what's going on over here, and I'm like, oh, ooh. Would you like to share your comment?
Well, that's not fair that just because he's a man, he got a higher score than I did.
And women in this country often are experiencing the not fairness, right?
Yeah.
We have less of a living wage. I'm getting right. I am currently in a class. We're heading into week 6, and I have to write a paper based on this book and Reverend Dr. David Alexander. And I'm focusing on voting because I'm a big fan of voting. Mm-hmm. And, so I'm like looking up dates of when Black men could vote. And it took another how many years before white women, because essentially the South wrote a bunch of laws that excluded Black women. So women have always been behind everything. And so I love that you're like, it's not fair. Why are cisgendered men more privileged than women? And we've been asking that question for centuries. And any other comments?
I'll just tag on that. I mean, privilege is not fair. I mean, that's the whole point.
And that's the whole point of privilege.
Yeah, like stature, for instance, whether you're slim, average, or large. What difference does that make?
And it shouldn't, right?
It shouldn't.
But people who are overweight have a different experience than people who are model fit.
Yeah.
It's an external judgment on who you are. And unfortunately, it's a human thing. It's not limited to just white people or privileged whites. It's people.
And as Michael pointed out at the beginning, this is very U.S.-centric. So it's from a United States point of view, because there are countries in Africa where wealth is displayed by your size. So this is a very U.S.-centric little exercise. So just to keep that in mind.
Actually, Bruce pointed out that the reference down below makes one think that it's actually a Canadian source.
And it is actually sourced out of Canada, this particular wheel. So Canada and the U.S. have a lot of similarities, right?
And differences.
And differences.
I camped there for years. It was very unusual to camp in Canada versus America. They go right by the rules, and they have no problem with it. And I'm a rule breaker. Those people are just, everything was politely by the rules.
Yeah.
And they all agree. I always said it's because it's colder up there.
So again, just going back to their little chart, our contemplation, which is the inner journey, and where do we stand in the circle? So that was our first exercise. And then they address belonging, that everyone is welcome as they are. And that's the truth that I just heard expressed in this room, that whatever size, shape, color, education, whatever you are bringing into the room, you are welcome here. And then we have that exploration, the curiosity of the journey, and exploring who is at the edge. And then that collaboration of creating a shared journey. And at the bottom of this, it says, belonging begins in the circle. Bridges help us to reach across divides. The circle grows when we embrace our differences. So knowing where we stand in the circle alerts us to our privilege. And I found a quote from Belshé Stokes, and they say that they're a DEI practitioner. who says, if you're using your privilege in the right way to help those who don't have it, that's the key. That's what allyship is. So the next part of the game is, and we're not going to necessarily play that here, but I think I'm going to use this as the quotes for the newsletter. I always look at Morgana and let her know what's coming up. But they have 3 sets of cards. And one is the contemplation path. And I'm just selecting one question as an example, is what do we share? What do we all share beneath our differences? And where do you feel that connection? There is the exploration path. And you just shared one of the questions. So on this one is called assumption check. Notice one assumption you made today and what might also be true. The third set of cards is the collaboration path. And this particular card invites us into a micro action challenge. And that challenge on this card is take one small action to include somebody. And then what did you do? And reflect on how that worked out. Belshé Stokes, when I was kind of reading and researching who they were, also suggested a micro action is count how many women are in the room, going to that women as second class, and then out of those women, how many contribute. And I'd like to say in our CSL communities, you can look around the room and notice how many men are in the room. And how are they contributing? We can also do that with age. How many young people are in our room? And so these are the questions that we get to ask when we notice where we are in that world of that wheel of privilege. So then we can ask, can we be open and curious about another's experience? Can we ask questions with an open heart and mind? Can we acknowledge our strengths and weaknesses as we acknowledge their strengths and weaknesses, and where those come together to make a whole? And in that wholeness is the power. And when we think we don't have the power to fix things, like our center, growing a community, that's sitting on the top of my mind. How do we get from 15 to 16 people a week to 36 people to 56 people to, the community that I have heard we want to create since I have come to Tucson? How do we get there? How do we fix our government and the growing disparity between wealth and privilege and those majority of us without that? I know I feel on a constant basis helpless that I'm just one little person. Good thing I number my pages, otherwise I'd be lost today. So that's when we come together in community. And I'm going to ask you to think about this, is what do we want to create in this space in CSLT? What is it that we want to create? And one of the things that I notice is there's this energy of let's wait until we get to South Craig Rock. And I don't see any reason why we need to wait. And then I hit, oh, well, we're in competition, which we're totally not, with Unity, because we're in their space and we're doing things at the same time. But they're doing their thing and we're doing our thing. So that competition is also an illusion. But it's kind of sitting in the space of wait. Let's just wait till we go somewhere else, and that idea that it'll be better when. And so I'm inviting us to be better now. And what is it that we want to create? And I'm going to be thinking about how I want to create a space where we can come together and share our ideas and share what it is that we want. And on our program, we have what I've asked Morgana to call our vision statement instead of our mission statement, because it doesn't feel like a mission to me. It feels like this is the vision we want to have of this vibrant, growing spiritual community rooted in our teaching. That is the vision of CSLT. And then I would like to create a mission of what do we want to be in the world on a bigger scale. And that's what I see as our mission. And we have to come up with that together. So last thing I'm going to talk about as I get to wrapping up is, okay, well, and I also want to point out, when we're creating this space, we want to make sure that we are addressing these three questions. Does this idea benefit everyone? Is everyone included? Is anyone left out of this vision? And are we centered in love? And I wanted to bring Ernest Holmes in, and as we're talking about community, he talks about what he calls race consciousness. And we know that there's only the human race. Race is a made up thing. So I avoid that word whenever possible. When surveys ask me what race am I put human. If I can fill in a blank, I write human. And then if they ask me what color my skin is, I'll tell them that too. Because I'm a sociology student. Demographics is important. So we have evolved that into a collective consciousness or collective unconsciousness. Because quite often this is unconscious. It is kind of taught into us. And it used to be, and I used this last week, the earth is flat. And as science and knowledge came to be, we've learned that Earth is a globe. It is a sphere, and how it moves in space. And so over time, facts and science and experience shifts the collective consciousness. So if the collective consciousness believes that we can't do something, someone is going to come along and show us that we can. And one of the examples I often hear from here is, runners that you can't do a under whatever minute mile, or you can't do an under whatever minute sprint. And then somebody comes along and does it. And then a whole other bunch of other people all start running that mile under the whatever benchmark it's been. And so once we break that consciousness that it can't be done, then we open into a world of possibilities. And there we are again. We come together to shift the paradigm. And I looked up, there's that, what's the tipping point? The 100-month monkey effect. And it's when a certain number of individuals form a critical mass to learn a new behavior that then spreads to all members in the group. And so every CSL, every unity, every new thought center around the world, as we move more into creating a world that works for everyone, we can be that critical mass. We can ask ourselves again, is this truly the world we want to see? Is transformation possible? And what is ours to do? And so I'm going to close with reading CSL's vision statement. And in our recent membership class, that's part of the curriculum. And I did print some out because you had mentioned that would be nice to have. I've been making little posters to put on the wall. Well, actually little flyers. I'm going to look at posters thanks to Margaret's suggestion. But we thought this was really beautiful. So I'm going to read this into the room in case you're not aware of it or you just haven't read it for a while. So Centers for Spiritual Living vision statement is: we envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal account responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each and every person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging. A world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. Finally, we envision a world that works for everyone and for all creation. So I invite you to anchor that with prayer. Knowing that Spirit, God, love is the only thing happening. I know that this one, this wholeness, expresses itself in infinite variety. There is not one flower, there is not one rose, there is not one daisy. There are infinite expressions of flowers. And as there are infinite expressions of flowers and animals and ants, there are infinite expressions of humans. That humanity is just that higher consciousness of God expressing. And so I know that each of us is this divine, beautiful expression of the one. And that each of us brings our unique gifts and experiences to the collective. That without each and every one of us, there would be something missing. And so I am grateful. I am grateful for this community, knowing that each of us is this beautiful expression of this wholeness, that each of us values who we are, values everything that has brought us to this moment in time. That we forgive ourselves for anywhere where we might think that we could have done better. Knowing that at that time we did the best we could, and that brought us here. And so we forgive that, we bless it, we know that it is good, and we just celebrate our uniqueness today, knowing that our uniqueness is God in expression. And so as we come together in community, as we come together within CSLT, within our city, within our state, within our country, within the world, I know that we come together in this consciousness of love, that we see each other as the truth of who we are. That when we see each other, we know that namaste, the beauty in me sees the beauty in you. And so for all of this and more, I am grateful. Grateful for this teaching and this reminder of the truth of what and who we are. And so I release this word, knowing it is so. It is released into the law of love and action, knowing that nothing returns void. And so I know my word is law, and my word is love. And we anchor this by saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Sharon. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. And let me know that love is all around me. Let me know that love is all around me. And let my steps reveal a happiness. Let my steps reveal a happiness. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Feel love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy. Let me love in a holy. Oh, let me love in a holy. Let me love in a holy.
Well, thank you all for being here this morning, taking the time to share your morning with us. And Phil is in Montana, and Facebook told me it was his birthday today, which reminded me we haven't been doing birthdays
Oh,
for a while. So January, who celebrated something in January? Who celebrated in February?
Hey, man.
March, April, May.
Phil,
Just
happy
Phil.
birthday.
Phil.
Happy birthday, Phil.
All right, we're caught up. We're gonna reinstate that.
Good job.
Yeah, I was just like, when's the last time we acknowledged anything? So I just want to acknowledge you that just so blessed that each of you showed up this morning and continues to support Centers for Spiritual Living. And we have our donation basket on the way out for your cash and checks. We have online giving. We have text to tithe, and all of that information is found in your bulletin. So I don't need to read it off to you. And if you are finding us online, I will read. You can go to our website, and there are ways and links to give there. We are working on getting our website relevant and current, so that is a work in progress. So let's go ahead and say our affirmation, what do we call it? Tithe gratitude. Yeah, our affirmation. It's divine love. As me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is. And just a reminder, on the 31st, we are having our vote, and we will be doing it hybrid, so can't make it in person, be here online. I already saw one confirmation. Somebody's like, I will be there online. So just want to make sure you know that that is happening.
Great, yeah. I release and I let go. Can we stand up? I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. And with my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for